There are few things more enjoyable in the life of a teacher than reading a picture book out loud and thinking, wow, this just feels good to say. Or maybe as you're reading these books, you've noticed that some books stick with you for years while others, they just don't. And that's not an accident. That's literary techniques at work. All the sneaky little tricks authors use to make stories more fun, more rhythmic, and ultimately more memorable. Hey everyone, I'm Nick. This is Dr. Cranky Pants Reads, and today we're talking about the literary techniques that make picture books stick in kids' heads forever. Whether it's a perfectly timed rhyme, a ridiculously fun sound effect, or a character so full of personality you feel like they actually exist. Because picture books don't just tell stories. They play with language in ways that make them more engaging, more interactive, and sometimes really just fun to say out loud. Let's break it down. First, a quick recap. Last time we talked about literary elements, the essential building blocks of picture books. Things like plot, what happens and why we care, setting, where and when the story takes place, characters, who's causing that chaos, theme, what the story is really about, and mood, the book's overall vibe. Now, these elements give the story structures, but literary techniques, they are the fun stuff. The tricks and devices that make the language itself work harder, sound better, and feel more exciting to read. If literary elements are the cake, then literary techniques are the frosting, sprinkles, and that weird edible glitter that doesn't quite taste good, but it looks great. And picture books, they are loaded with frosting. So let's dig into the best tricks authors use to mess with our brains in the best way possible. First up, alliteration, also known as the tongue twister trick. Alliteration is when multiple words in a sentence start with the same sound, creating a rhythm that makes sentences feel smooth, bouncy, and really fun to say out loud. It creates a musical quality that makes words feel connected and helps with memorization, which is why tongue twisters exist. It also makes books way more fun to read aloud. For example, Silly Sally by Audrey Wood. Silly Sally skipped to the seashore. I would be lying if I said I did not practice that 4 times before hitting record. If that sentence just feels really good to say, that's alliteration doing its job. Now imagine if it was just Sally walked to the beach. A little boring, no rhythm, no fun. Alliteration isn't just decoration. It forces you to engage with the words. Next up, let's talk about one of my favorite words from about 5th grade on, onomatopoeia, or words that make noise. Onomatopoeia is when a word imitates a sound, which might not sound like a big deal until you're trying to read a picture book without it. Onomatopoeia makes books interactive. Kids can join in and make the sounds, and it brings energy to the story. Suddenly, the words feel alive. And this makes books feel more immersive, because reading isn't just visual, it's auditory. Let's look at Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type by Doreen Cronin. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. It's hard to imagine this book without the sound effects. Just a bunch of silent cows passive-aggressively typing. The click-clack isn't just a fun detail. It's part of the story's identity, and it makes the book feel rhythmic, like the cows are actually typing as you read. And honestly, it makes them weirder, which I fully support. Now, let's talk about repetition, or the power of saying things again and again and again. If you've ever read Brown Bear, What Do You See?" to a child, you already know why repetition works. It reinforces key messages and themes. It makes books predictable, but predictable in a good way, not in a, ooh, I saw that ending coming from 4 miles away. It also invites participation. Kids love knowing what comes next. So, if we're thinking about the little engine that could, The little engine that could keep saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Would this book work without repetition? Absolutely not. The whole story depends on that one phrase. Instead, we'd have a train struggling up a hill in total silence, which is significantly less inspiring. Also feels like a really good metaphor for middle age. Repetition isn't just about making things easier to remember. It's about creating rhythm that makes books fun to read. And now let's talk about rhyme and rhythm, or why Dr. Seuss is so addictive. Our brains, they love rhyme. It makes words stick. It makes language feel musical, and it turns books into games where kids can guess what comes next. For instance, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss. Is there a better line than from there to here, from here to there? Funny things are everywhere. Would this book be fun without rhyme? Not at all. The rhythm is the experience, and some books don't just rhyme. They create an entire world of rhythm. Think Chicka Chicka Boom Boom by Bill Martin Jr. and John Archambault. A told B and B told C, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. The rhyme drives the book forward. It's almost impossible to read this book without falling into that rhythm. It's almost like we're Gloria Estefan. Now let's talk about personification, or when objects and animals get a little bit of an attitude. Personification is where non-human things act like humans, walking, talking, throwing tantrums, forming unions. Looking at you, cows from Click, Clack, Moo. Personification helps make objects and animals more relatable. It gives stories humor and personality while also allowing for some creative storytelling, because anything can be a character. For example, a pigeon in Mo Willems' Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. The pigeon desperately wants to drive a bus and throws a full meltdown when he can't. Would this story work if it were just a random pigeon standing near a bus? Absolutely not. But because the pigeon acts like a chaotic toddler, it becomes hilarious. So why does any of this matter? Storybooks aren't just stories. They're built for rhythm, engagement, and interaction. These techniques help make books more fun to read aloud, more engaging for readers, and more memorable because the words feel good to say. And if you're reading picture books with kids, you should encourage them to join in on repeated phrases, point out fun language tricks, like what sounds good together, and ask them how certain words make them feel. So let's talk. What's a picture book that perfectly uses literary techniques? And do you have a favorite rhyme-heavy, sound-filled, or character-driven book? Drop it in the comments and let's talk about it. With that, I'll see you in the next one.